Today, I'm sharing 5 things I wish I knew sooner about my 20s. The kind of lessons that would have saved me years of stress, money, and wasted energy. Because honestly, your 20s can feel like a constant test you didn't study for. I remember being 21 and comparing myself to people who seemed so much further ahead. And I kept asking myself, am I falling behind? Am I doing this wrong? Now that I'm 25, I've realized that there is no perfect guidebook for your 20s. But there are things I wish somebody had told me earlier that would have saved me years of putting unnecessary pressure on myself. The first lesson I wish I knew sooner about my 20s is that perfect is the enemy of done. I used to be that person who would wait until I was 100% ready to start doing something. Like I couldn't just start and figure out as I went. No, everything had to be pre-planned and everything had to be perfectly pre-planned. I remember in 2019 when I was still in college, I really wanted to film and post my very first YouTube video. And so yes, I did record that video, but I never posted it because it wasn't perfect. Like that's what I thought. The way I could speak in front of the camera wasn't perfect, my backdrop wasn't perfect, my clothes weren't perfect. Like I found a lot of excuses not to post that video. It's editing Veronika here, and I'm actually thinking of showing you guys my very first YouTube video that never got posted. And I don't know why, for some reason, I thought I recorded this video in 2019, but it was actually in August of 2018 because I was so scared of my video not being perfect. I waited for 2 years to start my YouTube journey. The video that I recorded but never posted is in Russian because first I wanted to make videos in my native language.
Всем привет! Hello everyone! Сегодня я бы хотела поговорить с вами о сокращениях в английском языке.
But then I realized that I actually wanted to make videos in English instead.
Hello everyone! Today I want to tell you about my TOEFL experience. I took TOEFL on October 19th.
And it's so crazy to me to see how much I have changed over the years, how much my English has improved, and like absolutely everything about my filming skills, my editing skills. Just wow. Which again proves my point. Perfect is the enemy of done. And because of that perfectionism, I wasted a whole year because only at the end of 2020, I posted my very first YouTube video. I waited for a year for the right time for the perfect plan. And if you're thinking that at the end of 2020, everything was perfect, absolutely not. I think at some point I just realized that if I was gonna wait longer, I was just gonna push my dream further away from me. Like nothing is ever going to be perfect, especially if you have this perfectionist mindset, because nothing is ever perfect enough. And I got so tired of it. I realized how much this mindset was actually hurting me, that I was like, you know what? Yes, this video is not perfect. It's far from perfect, but I'm never going to improve. I'm never going to learn unless I start. And yes, here I have to mention that I still prepared. Like I watched a lot of YouTube videos about how to film videos, like what camera to use, even though I didn't have a camera at the time, like I was using my phone. But I was trying to educate myself because I think theory is great. Like we need all of this knowledge. But in many cases in life, you don't learn by waiting, you learn by doing. Theory and practice should go together because while you're doing something, you can notice that, okay, here I lack some knowledge, so let me go and learn all of the things that I need to learn so that while I'm taking action, I'm actually improving. Starting imperfectly gets you further than constantly overthinking and doing nothing. Action is the antidote to indecision. And another thing that I also had to deal with here is that when I finally became brave enough to take action, I started feeling afraid of making the wrong choice, of taking the wrong action. So in my early 20s, I was really afraid to make a choice and face the consequences because yes, that's normal. Sometimes we choose something and it ends up not being exactly something that we truly wanted, and that is okay. We make a mistake, we learn from it, that's adulting, and I know that is really hard. And when I was younger, I really wanted other people to choose for me. The weight of all of that responsibility felt unbearable. Now I really like to remind myself that life is full of those imperfect starts, imperfect beginnings, and responsibility, facing the consequences of your decision, is the real sign of maturity. And I see so many people get stuck in that same cycle, waiting for permission, waiting for skills they don't have yet. That is why I'm really excited about today's sponsor, Mocha, because it's basically a tool that removes all of those excuses. If you've ever said, I wish I could build an app for this idea I have, but I don't know how to code, or I don't have the money to hire a developer, Mocha really helps you here. Here's how it works. You type your idea and Mocha builds a fully functional web app for you. I literally typed in one simple prompt, and here's what Mocha built for me in just a couple of minutes. As you can see with Mocha, I don't get a blank website, I get everything. A database that feels like a spreadsheet, built-in user login so that my family and friends can log in, create their profile, and track their habits too. Hosting, one-click deployment, even Stripe integration so I can start charging for products and services. Normally, you'd have to use 5 or 6 complicated tools, but with Mocha, it's all built in one place, and it just works. And you can also build web applications that use AI. Think about making your own LinkedIn post maker or a productivity tool that's designed for how you work. Instead of waiting for someone else to make the perfect tool, you create it yourself in minutes. So if you've been sitting on an idea, this is your sign. Become one of the first to try Mocha's brand new features. I leave the link in the description so you can check it out and start bringing your ideas to life today. Alright, the next thing I wish I knew sooner about my 20s is that how you manage your money matters more than how much you make. The thing is, social media often conditions us to spend all of the money we make and just not think about it. Don't worry about it. Spend it all. It's the energy. If you spend a lot of money, you're gonna get a lot of money back. But that is not a smart decision at all. At least it didn't work for me. Obviously, this is not financial advice, this is just my personal experience. The reason why we want to spend a lot of money on products is because we think that once we get that thing, we're finally gonna be happy. We're finally gonna be successful, and our life is finally gonna be amazing. And that is the classic arrival fallacy. Because in reality, we can create happiness for ourselves right here, right now. We don't have to wait. And plus, we quickly get used to new circumstances. A new thing you get, a new product you use, the high fades, and so we start chasing the next thing. And that is called hedonic adaptation, something that we see on social media so much. And so in my early 20s, I really struggled with spending all of the money that I was making, without thinking about the future, without building my savings, without creating an emergency fund. And I thought I just needed to make more money to then spend even more money. And the way I was explaining all of that to myself was, most of us don't really make good money in our 20s, and so why should I worry about, building good financial habits right now? Like, I don't make a lot of money right now, so it doesn't really matter, so let me just spend it all. But the thing is, if you don't build your habits early on, when you start making more money, you're not gonna magically have like all of the good financial habits ready to rely on. You're just gonna spend all of that money. And right now, I always share with you guys that the only thing that allowed me to move abroad was the fact that I had an emergency fund, was the fact that at some point I realized that I needed to start building my savings and investing my money. I became a really frugal person, and to be honest, I was a little bit too obsessed. I wasn't allowing myself to spend any money on myself, and so that's another extreme. Unexpected things happen all the time. There were so many moments in my life when I was was making money and then something happened and I lost half of my income. And so those moments were the ones that taught me to not go and buy myself a new lipstick or a new dress, but save that money instead. I think exactly that combination of me building an emergency fund plus me trying to make my earnings more stable and like find new ways to make money, those things combined helped me a lot. Okay, so another thing I wish I knew sooner about my 20s is that your 20s aren't a masterpiece. There is this constant pressure, I know a lot of you guys are gonna relate with me here, to have your life figured out, to always know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, to have my life look like a masterpiece, like a very beautiful painting. And that is why the way that I try to help myself here is I try to remind myself that no one has everything figured out. We're just trying as we go and nothing is ever perfect. And my 20s for me are about building my identity capital through the process of continuous improvement. Identity capital is everything you build that becomes part of who you are. Your skills, your experience, your emotional intelligence, your confidence, your resilience. And obviously you don't build it in one go, in one leap. You don't all of a sudden become this perfect human being, having all of the skills and knowing absolutely everything. No, that is why we have the process of continuous improvement. Kaizen. It's this Japanese idea that you're always refining, you're always learning, you're always taking the next small step, and no one has everything ready for them at the very beginning. And continuous improvement is exactly how our identity capital compounds. So instead of stressing about having your life look perfect, like the greatest masterpiece of all time, focus on collecting that identity capital and remember that you're always improving, you're always learning something. And no one is perfect. No one knows everything. No one has everything figured out. Alright, lesson number 4 that has been really helpful to me is knowing that comparison will steal your happiness. Right now, because of social media, we often feel behind. We often feel like we're not enough because we see other people posting videos about how successful they are. And I really like to remind myself that if I constantly measure my life against others, that will only make me feel miserable. I don't really know what this person's life looks like in reality. Like, I only see the things that they are willing to share. And the only thing that I can really focus on is my own progress and my own path because I'm not competing with anyone, even though sometimes it feels like we are because we're constantly comparing ourselves with other people. So it feels like we're in this permanent competition with other people on the internet. But in reality, I am on my own journey. Like, it's my own path, it's my own journey, and it can be different from other people's journeys. Because I think we also often find ourselves chasing a life that is not really ours, that looks good on paper or looks good on Instagram. And then after a while, we realize that this life isn't actually aligned with my values. Like, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? We end up living to perform and impress instead of creating a meaningful life for ourselves. Do I want to buy that bag because it's been trending everywhere right now? Or because I truly like it and I know I'm gonna get a lot of wear out of it? Okay, so now let's talk about this final thing that I wish I knew sooner about my 20s. Don't stick with a path that makes you miserable. This happens so often. We spend a lot of time studying or working on a specific career, and then one day we realize that we actually hate it. Like, we don't like it at all. And it becomes so hard to let go of that after investing a lot of time and a lot of money. But the thing is, doubling down on a life that feels wrong for you will actually make you feel worse. It's okay to change majors, to pursue a new career, to switch hobbies, just because you want to try something new and you realize that what you've been doing now hasn't really been working for you. Better now than a decade deeper into a career that you despise. I really like to use this metaphor here with a train. The earlier you realize you're on the wrong train, the cheaper and easier it is to get off. But if you stay on, every next station means a bigger price and a longer way back. And we can apply it to many areas in our life, not necessarily our career. A lot of people stay in relationships long past their expiration dates. They know they're not happy. They know that this other person is not truly happy either. But they think, I've already invested 3 years of my life into this relationship, and so it becomes really hard to leave. And there is a name to all of that: the sunk cost fallacy. I experienced it firsthand when I spent 5 years in college getting a major in Asian studies, learning Chinese because I wanted to become a translator and interpreter, and I studied really well. I got good grades. I tried working as a translator. I thought of maybe becoming a professor at university, teaching Chinese to students, but then at some point I just realized that all of that wasn't really for me after trying, because obviously you will never know until you try. Sometimes you know, but sometimes you don't. And for me, because I got into college when I was 17, I was a teenager. Obviously, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't really know what I liked. And so it's completely normal to realize that something just doesn't feel right for you anymore. The thing that really helped me get out of that sunk cost fallacy is realizing that all of those past costs, like time and effort and money, they're all gone. They're all already gone. And it doesn't even matter what I do next, because all of those things are already gone. But I know emotionally it doesn't feel this way. It feels like quitting wastes everything that you have already invested. So that is why people often double down and dig the hole even deeper, when in reality the most rational thing to do here is to actually ask yourself, what's the best decision for me moving forward? Who do I see myself as in 5 years? And yes, I know it feels really difficult because our mind loves to cling to the past. So guys, I really hope you liked this video today. You learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, just a reminder, if you want to build your own web application, make sure to check out Mocha. The link is going to be in the description. A big part of my 20s right now is learning how to treat myself with more love, respect, and honesty. If this is something that feels hard for you right now, I have a video on my channel where I share 4 uncomfortable truths about self-love. Things you absolutely need to hear. So if you want to keep watching, just click right here and I'll see you there.